The third major component within Ableton Live's racks that we want to look at are the chains. So we're actually going to start with a project here called Funky Jam. We've used it before, so if you have access to this project, go ahead and open that up. Now if we tab key over into Session View, when we look at this instrument on track 4, this is actually a rack that I created. Now when you create a rack, we have these three buttons over here. The top one, as we've just seen, shows us macros, allows us to assign them to different things. The center one shows us what are called chains. And the bottom one shows us the devices that we're using. Now in the chain, I'm going to hide the macros. Chains are open, devices are open. We can see that there are several layers now. This has two layers. The top layer is made from a synth sound called Allison, and the bottom one is made from a synth sound called Sine Wave. Now these two play together whenever I play a key. Let's record enable that track here on track 4. It's record arm. So we can listen to each sound within this chain independently. I'll turn off the speaker for the top one. We're only hear sine wave now. It's hollow. It lacked definition, but it had a cool sound I liked. So I layered it with something to give it a little definition. Now let's put them back together. We also have a solo switch here we can use, and we can have basically as many layers in this chain as we want. We can create new combinations of devices. Now in each of these chains we currently see, there's only a synthesizer, but each chain can contain a synthesizer. Oh look, I lied. There's an EQ8 with that one, but the sine wave one is simply a synth. Now what happened here is that we have some panning settings if we want to, and we also have some volume settings, which I did use. The sine wave was rather soft and nondescript, so I made it louder, 3 decibels above norm. And this Allison was a bit abrasive. Let's bring it up to 0 and listen. It becomes too dominant for me, so I simply wanted that back down at a lower volume underneath the sine wave. So that rack allowed me to create a new sound that I thought would fit within this project. And that's exactly what we want to do. Now once we have this chain created, we have these static settings. They stay the same. I could pan one to the left and the other to the right, and they'll always stay that way. I'm going to reset those with my delete key. But we also have some abilities to control how those sounds come in and out relationship to each other according to where they are on the keyboard. So I could say, for instance, that Descript sound, I'm going to change its key range by clicking and holding on left in and say don't start playing until I get above G number 3. So let's play now. Just sine wave. So I told this sound to only play up here. We can create layers or splits. I'm going to say now that the keyboard is split. On one side we only have sine wave. The other side we only have the Allison. So we can create splits and layers however you might want. Also, if you look above these bars where we control the zones, we have a tinier bar. I'm going to click on the top there and hold. And you can see now we get a shading. Now what would happen here is, let's change this a bit. I'm going to have this sound play over the full range of my keyboard, and this sound will gently fade in as I start getting above. Let's go ahead and pull that down to C. So I'm going to play now. Just Allison. Now the higher I go, the more we get of sine wave until we get to the full point here. So we can create fade-ins through keyboard location. We also can do the same thing with velocity. I'm going to reset this now back to normal and take away the fade. And now go look at velocity layering or splits. Now velocity layer means that once we cross a certain point in velocity, they layer together, create two sounds acting as one. So now when I play softly, softly, we get one sound. If I play hard, they layer in both sound. We can create a split, which means when I play softly, only one sound will play. And hard, if you find it a little difficult, like I am with this one, I'm going to pull this up higher and move the split point higher. So now if my velocity is below 72, we hear only the lower sound. If it's 72 and above, we hear the sine wave. So we can create splits and layers through the control of velocity. We can even create a control that will manually move between different zones. This is a bit touching. I'll leave that to you to explore if you want to in the manual, but this is a great tool for taking instrument racks to the next level. Okay, so that's a quick look at chains or layering of devices using Ableton Live's instrument racks.